What are you passionate about talking about at the moment?
Me, I am, oh my goodness me, right? I am passionate talking about perimenopause, but not in this whole, it's not your fault, don't take action stuff.
Here's my question that I'm going to interject. Is menopause the new busy executive? I put a post about
Yeah.
this about a year ago on
Mm,
Facebook, and my sister
so,
got annoyed because she didn't get the joke. And I was
yeah.
like, this has been going on for a while, and now is it just you tell me, go on, you're the expert.
So, yes, I know from a marketing point of view, it feels like it at times, but from an actual demographic point of view, no, it's not because I do quite a lot of workplace presentations, and this always like people always like, oh my god, what? So if we think like perimenopause is happening from mid to late 30s onwards, right? And in the UK, the average age of full menopause is age 53. So from there, 53 until death, which is what like 83 is for the UK for UK women. More than 50% of a woman's life is in a menopause state, either perimenopause or postmenopause. Now, having gone through all the trainings, my personal training qualifications, my nutrition qualifications, nothing was mentioned about menopause, right? Nothing. Not a
When
single.
did you qualify him?
2017 for personal trainer, 2019 nutrition. So
And
when
even in the
I
nutrition, there was nothing.
there was absolutely nothing, not a Scooby. So when I like at that point, I was late 30s. So when I left corporate, I was late 30s, and I had spent most of my 30s on my own health journey. Like we can talk about that if we want. And everything that I had learned was fine. I got the weight off. I was really fit. I was really strong. I was ripped. I was lifting. I was doing all the things. And then all of a sudden, it felt like overnight, my 40th birthday, I woke up and I was just like, oh my God, I've gone up 2 dress sizes overnight. What the hell has happened here? And I was like, I am actually doing all the right things now because I am qualified and I'm doing all the right things, and it's not happening. And when I started looking into it further, I'm like, oh, I've not really been doing all the right things for where I am now. So in some respects, yes, from a marketing point of view, yes, it's easy to talk about. Yes, it's easy to like use any one of the 100 symptoms that can appear for a woman going through perimenopause and use that as a marketing tool. But the tactical stuff at the other side of when you get a client is very different. So although with busy executives and busy professionals, you're still coaching them the same stuff if you say to a student mum, like the actual tactics still apply. But in perimenopause and postmenopause, it's actually quite different because you've got all these different, like, you can do all the right things and basically hormones are throwing rocks at you and just going, that's not going to work. So it's from a, like the bugbear of mine just now from the marketing side is, oh, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. You're not broken. You're not broken. But to me,
Like, as marketers, that's not new, right? Though.
no, but it just boils my piss. I don't know if that's a Scottish phrase, right? But that just really annoys me because everybody, no matter where they are in their life, no matter what their career is, no matter what demographic they are, everybody's got a responsibility for their own health, their own thoughts, their own body, everything. So by just saying it's not your fault, you're not broken, is given this permissive attitude of, well, you don't need to do anything about it because it's hormones and there's nothing you can do about it. And there's loads we can do about it. So there you go. That's what I'm passionate about, and also the busy professional demographic.
What do you do? Tell us what you do.
Oh,
Real
right.
fun. I mean, in these things, it's always like you can tell me all like the backstory and the health challenges and the living on a park bench and then you
Oh
know
no! Oh, I wish I had a
making all the
tragic. I
money and
don't
that.
have a
But
tragic story.
like, what do you actually do now?
Right. I've got two lines of business, shall we say? Let's talk. Let's talk professionals. I've got two lines of business. Two lines of business. So number one, where my focus is just now, and this has just been on the last 6 months that my head, I've really had to have some really difficult conversations with myself. So up until now, I have been B2C, helping women in perimenopause transform their lifestyle, lose the weight, get their energy back, sleep better, feel like themselves again. The identity bit is the biggest part of what I do. However, that's not why people join me. People join me
Yeah,
because
I think that's why I first noticed your stuff because of the talking about the behaviour stuff,
because
and
it's
I
behavior
did
change.
notice a
Like,
bit of a transition from a few years ago to maybe now as well.
yeah. So it's it always has been like people come to me, they're like, oh, I don't like the fact that I've gained 2 stone overnight, like I've turned 40, and I feel shit and all the stuff, right? And I do the nutrition and I do the lifestyle and I do the identity shift and I do the behaviour change because that's where it is. And it only took me a year, really, maybe 2 years of being into the business, into the coaching space to realise these people don't need exercise, they don't need nutrition, they need to change who they are and become the person that they want to be. And since I did my nutrition qualification personal trainers, I've done a postgrad in behaviour change as well, so that like it all loops together.
Awesome.
And that's like I talk about the Eat, Move, Win methodology, which is nutrition, movement, and winning, which is like all the mindset, all the identity, the sleep, the stress, all the things, and they're like cogs. Like you can, if you do work on one thing, it's going to work in the short term, but if you work on all of the things, and it doesn't need to be hard, that's when the full transformation comes. So that's one line of business. And I've kind of made the shift from coaching. Like, so up until December, my clients came in, they worked with either me or a coach in my business, and we did a 90-day program. And I think I voice noted you about this. My coach left because she wanted to do her own coaching business, and I had to ask some really hard questions about me and what I wanted to do and where I wanted to spend my time. So since then, I've built a suite, an ecosystem, I believe is the correct term in business. I've created an ecosystem of like shorter, dip your toe in the water, mini courses. So I've got a hormone reset, I've got a weight loss, I've got a mindset, I've got a gut health.
For consumers.
Yeah. Or anybody, really. Yeah. Cool. And they kind of £27, £37, all the way up to £57. And so that's that side of the business. Now, I'm still mostly working with individuals, and the 90-day program is still an attractive proposition. But for the last year, really, I created my own menopause accreditation. Now,
Yeah, I saw this.
This was so hard, like so hard to do, but really rewarding, obviously. So it's accredited by Active IQ, it's now accredited by CPD, and there's a lot of hoops to jump through that. And the reason that I can do that is because I'm qualified in all the things that I teach, so I can teach what I'm qualified in. So I don't teach the Eat, Move, Win methodology because that's my IP, which I may add into the accreditation once if I decide to let my baby go. Oh my God, I designed this. So I train other people to become menopause coaches, and at the moment, I had my first cohort last year. I'm in the middle of my second cohort just now, and I'm just about to launch the third cohort. And I genuinely thought this would all be people that are existing coaches in some vein or another, like personal trainers who want to do menopause, but it's a 50-50 split. So I've got people who are existing coaches of some description, wellness coaches, personal trainers, and 50% people who want to do a career change or want to help others in some respects.
Yeah, see, this is what I was seeing your stuff, and I was super interested in that. Like, we'll go through the process, because I think there might be, if you've been in the industry for a while, like the idea of going and getting a certification put together, I think seems really appealing to people. Some people, not everyone.
Not everyone.
But I imagine it must be challenging. I'm imagining that they must make it relatively hard to be able to do this, but I think it's a really good business move.
Yeah, well, for me, it's a really good business move. Like, for me, like to teach other people what I know is the natural next step for me. But this demographic, like at the moment, it's all women that I'm training to become accredited menopause lifestyle and
Can
health.
I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Right, a real blunt question, and you might think I'm a dick. I'm going to say this in the right way. I'm open to anything, and I would be convinced. What do you think about 25-year-old men who become menopause coaches? Do you have an opinion?
Yeah, I absolutely I have an opinion on everything, right? I think this is a good thing. And I have seen quite a lot on social media from primarily women saying men should not be coaching menopause.
What do you think?
So I then argue the point, well, what's your rationale for that? Like, oh, well, they can never have a lived experience, they can never really understand or empathise. Like, well, by that vein, you are saying that a man cannot be a gynecologist because they are never going to have a fanny, right? So that's the extreme view. So actually, in my eyes, the more men who are doing this like additional like development or qualification can only be a good thing. Like I know I've worked with guy personal trainers, so they're going to need to know if women are starting perimenopause at age 35, post-menopause from age 53 onwards. Like, are we now saying that guys can only coach guys in the gym? Like, that's not going to work. Are we saying that, you know, athletic coaches that coach women sprinters can only be female? You know, it's...
Do you think it's hard for them to? I tell you what I think. I think it's really must be very hard for them to market. That's the thing I've always thought, because when you try and market to a specific, I don't know if you agree with this. When you actually learn how to market and not just marketing 101, you realise that I really need to understand this avatar. I really need to be able to speak to the problems, but not just like I know the problems, like write it down, but actually write in a way that makes someone buy into what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, like, I'll be honest, sometimes I have a little chuckle and maybe I'm an idiot and I'll take that. Like when I see these coaches trying to like create empathy with their audience, and I'm just like, anytime I ask my female coach, I'm like, what do you think to that? They're just like, ah. And they're just like, I'm like, and I was like, it gives you the it, right? And they're like, yeah. And I'm just curious. I actually agree. I put a post out and I said I think it's really hard for men to appeal to women as coaches. And lots of people came back and said, well, I know all of this stuff about coaching women. And I'm like, yeah, that wasn't kind of my point. I don't actually disagree with that. I think it's the marketing that is very hard. Me and my ex-business partner, we went, I've been back many times because it's popped up, and I looked at the marketing that we used to put out. We used to have a female boot camp. Oh my God, it's so gash. It's so ick. And it was like, we were almost trying to, we understand. And like, no, you don't, mate. You're 25. Get over yourself. Or like,
Yeah.
That was always my wonder. It's not the doing of the thing. I think actually there's absolutely no reason. I think it must be just really hot. And I think I'm being a bit mean. I know I am, so I have to control myself. But it's when they try and market to that avatar. Like, I know how you feel. And you're like, I don't know if you do. And I think it's really difficult.
And I think it's really difficult for a guy, like a young guy, let's use the 25, to be a specialist menopause health and lifestyle coach, right? Because that's quite
because of that reason, or
because that's quite a general term, and menopause coaching has only technically really been around for what, 5 years?
Yeah.
So we're at the early stages of that as a genre of coaching, if you like, even though we have been coaching women in menopause since the dawn of coaching. But I think in general terms, marketing is really hard right now across the board, not just for like guys trying to coach women, but for women trying to coach women. Like, marketing is hard just now.
How have we got to that place? Because you've been doing this for a while.
Oh, well, I think there are several reasons. Cynicism is a big one. You know, if we think back to 2018, I'm trying to think where it was the big, you can charge £5,000 for 2 days worth of coaching. Like, that's quite an extreme example. But we've gone through this whole shift from in-person to online, and this shift to more, I don't like the word particularly, but holistic coaching. Like, it's not just a personal trainer, it's not just a nutritionist, it's not just behaviour change, it's like this kind of whole lifestyle thing. I think in women's health coaching, there's, and particularly GLP-1 has made a huge impact, because even though like it's impacted pure weight loss coaching, like people being able to lose weight has transformed people's energy levels. They have actually gone, actually, I don't need help, I can just do this and I'll be absolutely fine. I think maybe 2 years down the line, we will see an actual uplift again of people needing help with coaching, whether it's for maintaining weight loss or whether it's for, you know, exiting GLP-1 paths. So I think that's made a huge issue. The economy, you know, from a woman, like my demographic, so women in their 40s are like, and I tend to work with like middle class women, they are financially squeezed, and where there is spare money, they will not spend it on themselves. Like Gen X is a generation of, oh no, I must buy a new holiday. I must buy new shoes. I must buy a new dog. I must get anything to, like, it's that fear and selfishness of spending money on themselves. I'm seeing it less in the 30-year-old not 30-year-old, but 35 kind of to 42-year-old just now. There's less of a reluctance. And I think there's just, I don't want to say oversaturation because I don't believe it is oversaturation, but it's now, everybody does everything. Everybody does everything. And we talk a lot about, like, I'm in a lot of different business groups where it's not B2C, it's mainly B2B. And they're just now talking about trust deficits and like that. We have been talking about this in the B2C land for a good couple of years. You know, this is, so I think there is elements of that, but it's like everything else, it goes in cycles. Like, it's not the end of online coaching, it's not the end of health coaching, it just goes in cycles, and we have to adapt.
Do you think there's positives though as well?
It forces,
one of the arguments is
people
that,
to be better.
and it forces the people that just aren't very good out.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I think for one thing that's like always gone in my favour is I've always loved the business side of it. I've always loved, like, I don't like selling. Like, it's not hard. Like, selling is just part of life. Like, we're all selling something. Like, I'm selling me on this podcast. You're selling you as a podcast host. Like, we're selling each other on dates and shops and all the rest of it. It's not, like, I don't believe it has to be this, like, it's one entity. But I've always enjoyed the business side of things and always loved the, you know, how do I make sure that I am me from the very start? Like, of like people just coming across me on Instagram, for example. And that's probably but been the times in my business where I have been shit is when I have tried to be somebody else.
I mean, I think that kind of links back to what I said about like the male menopause coaches. Like, it must be really difficult. Like, I agree with you. I'd sort of say to my clients, it's like authenticity and avatar. Like, you have to have like the intersection of those two. And I think it's really difficult for people to be able to be authentic and at the same time speak to their avatar, especially like the sort of younger male coaches. Like, and maybe even with you, I guess, I don't know if you agree that most personal trainers come into the industry, especially I came in a bit later as you did. Mm-hmm. Like, a lot of people come into it because it's just, I could go and work in Tesco's or go and like do whatever, or I can go and become a personal trainer, and then they do it. They're not and I don't know if it's changed because I qualified in 2008 and I don't know if it's changed, but when I qualified, I didn't think, like, my first coach Glenn would be talking about like your business and that. I'd be like, by the way, I just paid him like $6,000, so it wasn't like I wasn't spending good money on it. And he's like, you know, your business, and I was like, and he always used to say these things, and I'm like, I just do personal training like that. So I don't know if it's different now when people come into the industry that they're like, I want to run a business, I'm here to learn to sell, I already like that part of it, or people are just still coming in with the same, I just want to be a personal trainer because I don't want to work in Tesco's, or not even, I mean, I'm being a bit mean, but like, it could be any other job that people do. Like, do you have a perspective on that?
I genuinely don't know what the situation is just now. All I do
What was
see
yours?
is like,
What was yours?
What was my what?
Your entry, because you liked sales right from the beginning,
Yeah,
right?
so I came in, I had the opportunity, like, I had my whole, like, tragic journey of losing my identity when I became a mum and losing my body when I became a mum. I was like, So that was my journey into fitness. And I had been, in my teenage years, I was a sprinter, so I had a early years background of, like, weight training and, you know, power training and whatnot. So I wasn't, but by the time I had my son Archie when I was like 32, I was out of condition. I had spent all my 20s just drinking and smoking and raving and, like, not a particularly healthy lifestyle. But because I was just drinking and smoking and raving, I didn't need to worry about my body. I was like super skinny and it was fine. And then once I'd settled down, had my son, I was like, bloop. Hated it, hated the version of myself that I was becoming, and that was I started training. And then I was like, And then I worked on my nutrition and I worked on my fitness, and I lost all the weight, and I was like I was like, if I can do this for me, right? I'm a worst nightmare client because I've got a young kid, I'm working full time, I'm traveling up and down to London with work. I'm a nightmare, right? I literally don't have time to do anything. So if I can do it, why are other people not doing it? So redundancy came up in the work, and I was part of a team that was kind of doing the transformation planning. So I knew that at some point soon I was going to get to make myself redundant. I was like, right, okay, like that's what we're going to do. Well, we're going to get a redundancy. And I'd been in this organisation for some time. So I got my redundancy, and I had to sell my house and buy a new house with a garage without the official stuff coming through. So the mortgage company didn't get wind of the fact that I was just going to buy a house with no job. Like, I'm just going to buy a house, no job. And this house, double garage, I was like, right, I'm going to be a PT, and I'm going to make a fuck ton of money out of my garage, and it's going to be amazing. And I just get to wear leggings all the time and help people get fit and strong, and everybody's going to love it. And it was fine until winter, when I'm in a double garage on the west coast of Scotland, and people are wanting...
Which, if you're from America, means like cold, right?
It's cold, and it's wet, and it's dark, right? So from October till March, it's dark in the mornings, dark when you get up.
6 o'clock sessions might
dark
be
at
very
3 o'clock
nice.
in the afternoon. So people wanted coaching at 6 o'clock in the morning in this drafty garage. People wanted coaching at 8, 9 o'clock at night. And I was like, this is meant to be fun. This is not fun. I'm freezing all the time, and I'm getting paid a pittance. So, and I'd had a fairly decent income, but it wasn't so much that. It was these people don't need me for this. This is like, people are coming to me for their hour or their 2 hours a week, and they're expecting me to wave my magic wand, and they come back in after 2 weeks and they're a size 8, and they've lost all notion of eating shitty food. They're super healthy, and they've got this new mindset. It's like that. That's not how this is working.
That's so interesting, because how long did that take?
About 6 months.
Yeah, do you know, like, I think the industry, like you were saying it a bit earlier, I can't remember, I was seeing someone talk about this. When I started the sort of mindset work, both just learning, like randomly, to be honest, reading books more than anything else, it just wasn't really talked about. There was a guy called Dax Moy who used to talk about mindset stuff a bit, like behaviour coach. Well, he didn't call it behaviour coaching, called it something else. I think he had mindset something or other. And there was a couple of guys, Lazo, and a thing called Body Transformation Academy. Now, maybe in America there was other stuff, but it wasn't like, it just wasn't really about, like, it didn't exist. And I did like education, but I never got into that side of stuff for quite a while. I don't think I had that realization for, I think it must have been like 5 years at least.
Oh wow! Well, I had done quite a lot of like leadership, being coached in my workplace, like kind of leadership coaching, and there was a lot more. And it wasn't always talked. It wasn't just wasn't mindset wasn't a thing. Like, I didn't, like, terms like limiting beliefs and things didn't exist, but the right questions were being asked, and the right, like, when I was being coached, and that, I think that probably just gave me a bit more of a, oh, I remember this, I remember things. And that's kind of got me down the path of, actually there's more to this than just being able to do a deadlift and a squat. And, like, don't get me wrong, I make it sound as if I didn't like personal training. I did. Like, my most favourite bits were teaching people how to do a box jump, because that had been such a fear of mine, like doing a box jump. And now I see people in the gym doing box jumps, I'm like, yay, you did it. Like, dead patronising. And like teaching people that, see that barbell, you can lift that. Like, oh no, I can't. And it's like making the connection of real life. And I say this all the time, like, women are stronger than they think. And, like, I was working, like, your demographic is you, basically. So my demographic that I was working with was all women roughly my age. They're like, oh, I can't pick that up. And I was like, have you got kids? Like, how old are your kids? And they were a wee bit older. I was like, how old were your kids when you stopped lifting them into the bath? Like, were you lifting your 4-year-old into the bath? Yeah. 5-year-old? Yeah. Like, how heavy was your 5-year-old? Oh, I don't know. Like more than that barbell. So just lift it up. Like, get a grip of yourself. And it's that kind of realization of, oh, I can do that. And that's that type of, this is how I want every single client that I ever work with, no matter where, if they're a consumer or whether they're another coach or whether they're in an organization, for them to have that light bulb moment of, I can do that, and I can do that well. And that was kind of the driving factor on every path that I took.
What did you do with that then? So within 6 months, like how? Because this, like I said, this wasn't like I actually went and did a postgraduate, which I was interested when you said that earlier. I did a postgraduate diploma. It was like the third of a master's credits, and I did it in with a company called Barefoot Coaching. They called it business and personal coaching. Like I don't remember exactly, but looking back, I'm not sure how much business coaching we did, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like really, it was, I think they just wanted to use personal coaching as a proxy for life coaching. They just think it sounded a little bit better, more sort of performancy, which was really good. Like even when you said that, it's like, I wouldn't have even known that, like, shut up and ask them some questions. Like I just didn't even know that. And so when we talk about coaching, and then sometimes when I talk to personal trainers about coaching, we're talking about different things. And I'm like, have you ever thought about doing this? Like maybe ask the client what they think. And that was so foreign to me. Like someone would ask me a question, and I remember the first 3 years, I would probably just try and pretend I knew the answer.
Yeah.
And I thought I was really clever when I was like, I don't know, I'm going to go and find out for you. And I was really proud of myself that I was vulnerable enough to say I don't know. And then I'd go and research shit. And then eventually I'd be like, I don't know, what do you think?
Yeah.
And that was not normal.
That's I've got a podcast as well. I was recording a solo episode for it yesterday, and I actually told a story about if you can be a learner, not a knower, you'll always be the smartest person in the room. And it's that, like, going into rooms, like I do work with organisations, and they look to me and go, what do we think, what should we do, like, with this menopause policy? What should we do with these menopause champions? What should we do with this health and wellness stuff and like that? Okay, well, what is the problem that you've got right now? Like, that determines. And you're right, when I did my personal training qualifications, I can't remember actually there was any coaching skills in that.
No, there definitely wasn't when I was doing it.
I can't think that there was. And it wasn't until I did my nutrition qualifications that the coaching side really came in. About, like,
Who did you do it with?
Precision nutrition.
Yeah,
They were
for
really
sure.
good. They were
Yeah.
really, really good.
100%.
And it wasn't till then that I actually went, right, okay. So what is, like, getting people to just do the smallest amount of things that they can, like, and building that, like, esteem and confidence and self-trust. And that was kind of the foundation of my program, is like, it's a habit-based behavior change identity shift program, and that it came from a nutrition qualification. And I loved that, but it wasn't until I worked with, I paid, I think it was about $6,000 for business coaching, and it was Remote Fit Pro. Was it that what they're called? James?
So now you've dropped the name. I have to back off here, and I can't ask anything. I was about to interject and say, don't tell me the names. But go on. You can say whatever you want.
But
Yes.
no, I actually took so much, like, I learnt a lot, and he had a coach, and I'll not say his name because I really rate this guy. And
You can say the name if it's positive. That's the rule.
Sam. Oh no, I've got nothing really bad to say about that. So Sam
Yeah.
Main was their kind of head coach, and he was the one that would have the one-to-one calls and stuff. So I had designed this online.
Who was it? What was his name?
Sam Main. I think he might be in America now.
Okay.
I don't know. Anyway, he was amazing, and I had designed this online. I was like, right, I can't do another winter in that garage. Like, it's beyond freezing. I'm gonna die. I'm quite dramatic. I was like, I'm gonna die. I have to work at 6 o'clock in the morning in that cold garage. But he sat me down and he's like, right, how much time are you spending on this program? How many clients have you got in this program? How much are you charging for this program? And at the time, I was, like, charging £150 for this 12-week program, and everybody got a full weekly check-in, and everybody got the nutrition plan. And he's like, you are earning £2 an hour. Are you mental? Are you mental? And I'm like, oh, yeah, apparently I am, right? But they did a lot of mindset work without even positioning it as mindset work. And it was actually really, really good. And I know they had a really bad rep at one point. I think I was quite early with them. And further down the line, did get a bad rep, and they did not treat their clients particularly well. But I took a lot from them. I learned a lot. Shall we move on?
You can see my silence. I I bumped into James just on a EasyJet flight. Like
No
we
way.
knew each other just through. I remember James coming through, and often when personal trainers, because I started a bit before, like if I connected with people, I'd be like, "Wow, let's go and try and sell them some shit at some point." And I think I might have tried to sell him some stuff, but I think that straight away when he was a personal trainer, I saw how good he was at positioning himself, branding, marketing. Like you could tell, like this was way before, I'm connecting the dots backwards, but this was way before he ever did anything else. And I think he was very good at it. And I also think he must have hired someone as a coach. I think he did.
He
And he
worked
was,
with, do you remember? Oh,
I do remember, but we're
funnel,
trying to avoid names
funnel, funnel.
just in case like anything positive or
Oh,
negative.
I know who it was that he worked with. I will
Yeah.
not name the name,
Yeah.
but the guy,
He worked with a coach that basically became open season at one point to.
but they ended up, they had to fold. Was there a prison sentence? There was certainly
Oh,
legal
okay. So we're
issues.
talking about someone different now. Now I know who you're talking about. So we'll move on from that. And I remember James being really clearly an incredibly good because I think that's what he did before. I think that's what he did before. And then he started doing like coaching for Fit Pros. I think that was where I first noticed him, but I randomly bumped into him on an EasyJet. I was like, "What the fuck?" And we just
That's
sat there
really
chatting for the
random.
next 2 hours. The move from was at one point you were doing or thinking of doing or planning on doing a behaviour change cert, and how did that then morph into doing the menopause cert? Like, is that the case? Was that the case?
The behaviour change stuff was always something that I did in my programs without even realising that's what it really was. And it was when like I was getting all my testimonials and getting all the feedback and stuff, and like people got amazing results, and people were messaging me like a year later saying, "This is amazing. Like I've still kept the weight off, and I'm still been like working towards my future self, and I've got these new goals." And I didn't actually realise how different it was. I just kind of assumed that that's what everybody was doing, because even though with different business coaches, the actual students, they never shared really what their programs looked like or what it was. It was just assumed that you know what you're doing, and the actual coaching your clients, we're going to help you with the business side. So I just assumed that that's what everybody did, and it wasn't until there was a woman that I'd been working with, and she'd paid $3,000 to work with somebody who was really big in the industry, and I'm not going to name his names. Like she'd paid $3,000 to work with this guy, and she told like she'd worked with him. She'd hardly lost any weight. She felt shit. She couldn't like she was just shattered, and she had a really big stressful job. And I was like, right, okay, let's have a chat. And she told me what he told her to do, and I'm like, what? So she had literally just paid $3,000 for a calorie number and a workout plan, and told when it wasn't working, it was her mindset and that she was lying, right? And I was just like, fuck, like I could not get over this. So the behaviour change stuff was stuff that I started doing from week one with clients. So, you know, not just doing SMART goals, I hate SMART goals, but getting into the emotional side of goals and looking at limiting beliefs and looking at why have you not been able to do this yourself? Like, get really honest. Why has this not happened? How do we design this new version of you? How do we embed this? How do we put ourselves in a place where like we're grateful and doing gratitude? And some of the things that like at the very beginning, and I was like, right, okay, yeah, okay, let's do it this way. Let's do like happiness and gratitude. And I'm like, oh, that's wank, Emma, that's pure wank. But actually, this is all the stuff now that I do. Like, I follow my own program. Like, I pretty much follow all the habits. And if I go away on holiday or I have a really stressful time, and like in 2020, what year is this? 2026, 2024, me and my husband split up, and I went through a really rough emotional time, and all my good habits just went out the window, and I was just a miserable cow, and I was eating shit, and I was drinking too much wine, and I was like not working out. And when I went, your jeans are too tight and you look like shit and you've got no energy, what did I do? I went back to week one of my program, like, and I was like, that's like that, it works, like it works. So that was all. Like, when I went to do my postgrad in behaviour change, it was basically to reinforce what I was doing and to give myself.
Where did you do it?
London School management, I think it was. It was an online one.
Nice.
And it was hard and it was quite dull doing the qualification because you had to do a lot of like essays and referencing and discuss. I just want to do bullet points. Just let me do bullet points and we're absolutely fine. So doing that hasn't actually changed anything that I do with clients, I don't think. But it has kind of changed slightly how I approach it with my coaches who are becoming accredited. And
Was I wrong? Were you thinking at one point of doing more of a behaviour change accreditation, or was it always a menopause?
It was always menopause. I've got a kind of like my mindset mini program that I've got for like the B2C side. It's behaviour change, but I wouldn't accredit that. That's your bad.
I think that's a really smart move. Is it true that there's a law that's been passed or being passed where companies have to invest a certain amount of money or something in training for or help for their staff if they have a certain amount of people? Is that the case?
Yeah, so part of the Employment Rights Bill, well, look at me, I can quote terms, Employment Rights Bill, 2018, organisations with employees more than 250 must have menopause action plans, which is legal from next year, voluntary from this year, legal from next year.
And can your coaches do that?
Yes.
Yeah, see, that's
Yes, they can. And I can do that too. So that's another, I've not even talked about this bit. This is another part that I do is go into organisations. And either I've got my, you can become a menopause health and lifestyle coach, but I've also got a CPD accredited menopause champion, like 1-day training that organisations can put their teams through. Because one of the things that I'm seeing just now, and this is, it's not, I don't want to say it's concerning, that makes it sound quite dramatic, but up until now, like menopause support groups and organisations are only there because of one person's got a lived experience and then they become the de facto leader of a menopause support group or a menopause champion. And like just having one person's lived experience is a very narrow lens because there's so many different things that are happening in a woman's life. So one person's experience isn't reflective of everybody's. And it can become quite a one-man band. So I'm doing some organisational stuff as well.
Yeah, I thought that was super smart. Was there a case where some man who owned the company, did he sack someone or something like that, and then she sued him?
Yeah,
because he said something like just get over it or something like that, or just
or just it's a women's problem or something. I don't know the detail. It did crop up.
Ever sitting there going, hasn't that happened like 100 times? But like, I'm sure there was quite a big case where someone got sacked, and then she sued him for quite a lot of money, and he was obviously found liable for it.
It's really interesting that the male conversation about menopause. So I've done quite a lot of organisational talks, and like the menopause woman gets rolled out of the cupboard in October for Menopause Awareness Month, and like, it's menopause awareness, it's so important to us, but we're not going to talk to you until next September when we roll you out of the cupboard again. But like, can you do a menopause for managers conversation, a menopause for men conversation, and see the menopause for leaders or managers or menopause for men where it's primarily a male audience? They are the most interactive sessions that I ever have. Like, it's incredible, like the interest, because it's not just like, how do I help my colleague or how do I help it's like, my wife is going through this, and like, how do I help my sister? She's been diagnosed with cancer, and like, it's just a huge discussion. And what I thought was quite interesting is I do quite a lot with Police Scotland just now. I'm not training their champions, I'm training members of their staff to become qualified coaches. That's the level of investment that they're putting into this, which is incredible. But one of the very first conversations was like, but can we talk about andropause? Like that? No. Give women like a good 10 years to just sort out the menopause stuff, then we'll get to the andropause stuff. Like, you can get your moment in the sun for a while.
Go on, tell me about that. Go on, how come?
Andropause.
How come? Yeah, is that just because it wouldn't be something like?
It just is a very tongue-in-cheek laugh about like, oh, men are not allowing women to have their own thing.
I got it. Actually, I agree with you. By the way, like I was always wondering about the menopause, like not the menopause, obviously the menopause. I was about to say, where's it come from? I mean, evolution, I guess.
Ovaries.
But like sometimes people, and I do think this is true, and you can tell me whether you agree or not. I think sometimes this is led by big forces which aren't always helpful. And so this over, and I'm not taking it with menopause, by the way, I'm taking it somewhere else for a moment. This overdiagnosis of things like ADHD. Now, am I suggesting that I don't, actually am not clever enough to know all of this, but do I think that there is overdiagnosis of a lot of illness? Yes, clearly. Do they move the goalpost with some of the most common illnesses in the UK? Yes. So if, for instance, you know, they put you on statins and now they tend to put you on statins lower. So that now means that an extra 5 million people a year are going to be on statins. So is there an overdiagnosis of ADHD? Well, I don't know. I think probably. And where's that?
It was an over-diagnosis of self-diagnosis of ADHD.
Of course, but like, and that's my point. It's like who's driving this, and then it's like, is there an? It seems like the I think perimenopause is an easier discussion because I'm assuming when someone goes into menopause, right, they're in menopause. Like we have we know that, right? It's when do the symptoms of perimenopause actually start, and if we can stretch that out further, then we can medicalize something further and big companies can make even more money. But then I'm like, is this also driven by like grassroots? Like the reality is that I guess women in business have been talked to by, generally it's probably going to be men because they generally have higher positions. Like the person who got sued. Like where is the growth come from? Do you think it's both?
It's an element of both, right? So the second point that popped in my head there, you're talking about like men in positions of power. The fastest growing demographic of senior leadership now in the UK is women over the age of 45. So that's a really interesting point. That is this in correlation with the fact that there are more women getting into senior positions that are leading the conversation at an organisational point of view? I do not know. Culturally, we actually have to thank Davina McCall for bringing menopause into the public domain. But one of the things that is I am seeing, and other people in the menopause health coaching space, is because more women are more aware of what the symptoms are. Now, from a biological point of view, the hormone fluctuations are starting from mid to late 30s, right? Mid to late 30s. Now, because there's more awareness of it, now there is more prescribing going on of HRT. Now, the problem that I see happening is people are getting HRT earlier than what they ever have done, but they are then taking their HRT for 6 months, a year, whatever, and then it's not working anymore.
Is that a positive or negative?
Well, it's in my eyes, they should not have got HRT in the first place because there is no route back to, well, actually, have you changed your nutrition? Because there's different rules for nutrition. Have you started training? Like there's different rules for training. Have you looked at your sleep routine? There's different, everything. The margin for error is much, much smaller when all these hormone fluctuations are going all over the place. So when I was in my 20s and when I was 30 and I had the party lifestyle, like I could get away with that easily because
cigarettes and Diet Coke, innit?
Vodka and Diet Coke, fags, like all the rest of it, going out to raves, like getting drunk in fields, all those kind of things. Like that's fine. I can still function. I can still have like a decent job, and I had my own flat and all the rest of it. And it was okay. But as we get older, if we have 1 or 2 terrible nights sleep, that's going to impact us longer. It takes us longer to recover. If I have a drink, it takes me like 3 days to lose depression. Right. So there's more that women can be taking ownership of and making sure that they are taking control of the things that they can take control of before going down that route of, do I need HRT?
Do you think andropause will become?
Oh God, yes.
Do you think it's going to become more widespread?
No. Well, it's right. I went to an event 2-3 years ago, and it was one of these like big entrepreneur events, and it was a lot of rah-rah. It was a very like lots of sparkles and loud music and yay, we're all amazing, right? And it was primarily women. I would say probably 95% women that were there, and it was a mixture of B2B and B2C in the audience. And they had speakers on stage, and one of the speakers was this guy. He was a male health coach that worked with men on their mental health. And so everybody was like, yeah, great. So I watched it, right? And he got up and they talked about the reasons why more and more guys are getting diagnosed with depression or anxiety, etc., and how much of a problem it was, and have and all the stuff. And then he's like, but there's ways of dropping testosterone and how that affects mental health. And he was then talking about, is like, but this stuff is reversible. This is what guys should be doing. And he's like putting up slides. He's like, eating more protein, eating more fruit and veg, doing more strength training, getting outside, working on their mindset. And the women in the room were losing their fucking shit, like taking pictures of the slides and like, I need to phone my husband and tell him that's my husband. Text messages and all the rest of it like that.
Bastard.
Like, this shit applies to you too. Like, this shit applies to every single woman in this room. But the fact that people like me say, well, actually, you can take control of your nutrition. Like, I know you're telling me you eat healthy, and I'm not disputing that, but eating healthy does not equate to eating for hormones. I know you go to the gym, but what are you doing at the gym? If you're, like, doing your Zumba or your Les Mills, whatever, that's not helping your hormones, right? So, yeah. And it's that kind of, like, somebody else is telling them this stuff for somebody else, but it's that problem with change. Like, nobody wants to change. Nobody likes the thought of having to change, even though, like, we know the psychology of it. Nobody will really ever change until the pain of staying the same is worse than the pain of changing. Like, we know that. But it just made me laugh so much. And I had clients in that room, and they were just, like, looking at me going, does this make you mad? And I'm like, it makes me fucking furious. Like, because this is the stuff that women are saying to other women. Like, you can feel 100 times better. You can feel like that young jazzy version of yourself again, but you've got to do stuff differently. Like,
yeah, like when you're saying that, like, one of the things I found really, I was talking to my client the other day, and she's got a menopause offer, and so we're like creating the offer, and she came back with big shout out to the person if they're listening, and she came back with a mechanism for the exercise part of her training, and it was called, by the way, she's new, like, and so it's awesome that we got some mechanisms, because most personal trainers don't even know that, and it was like called like the Sculpt 30. I was like, okay, that's interesting. And I'm like, and then I was like, I don't know, it was like, this isn't right for this avatar. This isn't also right for what they should actually be told, because they shouldn't be told that they should go to sculpt class. They actually should be told they need to go and lift some heavy shit. And if I said to her, I was like, look, I don't know if you're going to go with this. You might tell me no. I was like, I think we should position against that, as opposed to say this is the mechanism. And I never would have said that 5 years ago. I'd have been like, everything that you write to these female clients needs to be, don't worry, you won't do this, you won't do that. Like, you're going to have to meet them where they are. You can't use the word. I used to say that people could use the word strength because it's synonymous with lots of how I imagined that their clients would want to. I want to feel strong. And that's metaphorical as well. And I was like, I would never have said do strength train. Maybe strength training, maybe, but it would have been softened. And then it was like, would I have said resistance training? I don't know. And I definitely wouldn't have said you need to just lift heavy shit. And I was like, I think we should, and go away and have a think about it and come back. And she was like, oh yeah, okay. And she came back and I was like, because actually that's what you should be telling all these women. Stop lifting pink dumbbells and actually start like lifting some heavy stuff. And then she went away and she came back and I was like, what do you think? She's like, okay, let's go for it. And so the mechanism is now, I can't remember exactly what it's called. It actually includes the word muscle, which 5 years ago, I never would have said as a marketer. I'd have been like, don't put that anywhere. Bodyism used to say, you create long, lean muscle.
Yeah, remember that? Long and
I
lean
was
muscles.
like, I don't know how you lengthen muscles, but hell, this is good marketing. And now I'm like, now I was just like, this is where she should go. And the thing I was saying to her is like, when I was in Portugal in January, and I'm sure other gyms are like this, just mine isn't. It's like, when I was 17, I think in Portugal you can get in the gym at 16. When I was 17, most of my male friends weren't lifting weights, and we certainly weren't lifting weights in the gym, and we were doing other things which probably didn't help anything like getting fit and strong. And certainly none of my female friends would have even been anywhere near that. Like, did they run a bit, maybe sometimes, I don't know, probably not though. And I'm in this gym in Portugal and it's just full of like 16, 17-year-old, probably more females actually, probably more girls than there was boys, like lifting heavy shit. And I'm like, what the hell has happened in the last 30, 40 years? And that's what I think. It's like, you actually have to tell the avatar here, like, I think it's eat more protein and lift heavy stuff. Like, that's not what the female overall, I know personal trainers would have said this, but that's not what the overall message was for women to train. It was like, pick up do you know Madonna's trainer, Tracy Anderson?
Oh, yes.
There was a video that I saw.
She beach
like,
body.
literally, she's like, right, what did she say? She goes, don't lift anything heavier than 2 kilos, otherwise you'll get bulky. And then she said something like, literally in the same breath or the next breath, but do twice as many reps on one side to make up for lifting your 18-month-old. I was like, what, the 18-month-old, like you said, by the way, the 18-month-old that weighs how much? Not 2 kilos. I was like, so is now lifting a baby going to get you bulky? And it was just absolute garbage. Now I know she's a marketer and she's selling shit, but now I think it's really good. I think it's really good.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you. Is it easier for anyone, male or female, in that situation to go, let me just get a jab, or let me take some HRT, or actually take responsibility for going and lifting shit and eating properly and all of that stuff? What's your thoughts?
So, I'm in quite a lot of groups with dream clients of mine, and the biggest question that I see, and I avoid answering these questions now because it's just like, is I'm really stressed, I'm burnt out, I'm really bloated, I'm like, whatever symptoms, what supplement can I take? Now, that upsets me a lot because it's like, the answer is always start with the basics and supplement when the basics are good, right? That's the scientific answer, but it's not the sexy answer, because then it's not going to get your great new, I'm not going to name names of companies, but it's not going to get your bundle of supplements sold. And I don't know whether that is, I'm not smart enough to know, is that just because there's so many influencers out there on social media platforms that are sharing it, like, I lost my cortisol face, like the sleepy girl mocktail, what? Like, and I don't know, like, and it is always good. We always want a quick fix, don't we? Like, even as business owners, we will look at other, like, at business coaches going, well, I can help you grow your Instagram and monetize your Instagram. If you do my ads course, you can make £3,000 a day from selling a £17 product, right? So, but actually what they're not telling us is, well, you actually have to do a lot of work in that. And it's the work part. So yeah, it is easier. It's always going to be easier to do one thing rather than do hard things. But
do you think it is changing though? I mean, your experience is probably much bigger than mine. It seems from my perspective like a lot more of this demographic are going and doing weight training, like a lot more.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm maybe blinded. Like, I get a lot of people that want to be because they've maybe seen that it's good or so-and-so is doing it. But the reality is then, like, I've been for 2 weeks. Why am I not ripped? I'm like that, mate. I have been training for nearly 20 years now and I am still not ripped. Like, I had abs once and it was so difficult. Like, I build muscle quite easily. Like, I used to be a sprinter. But the one time I had abs and I did it was for a photo shoot for my 40th birthday. And I was like, right, that's it. I'm getting down to my skimpies for one of these fitness shoots. And my treat for about 3 weeks was a rice cake and a can of Diet Coke. And I'm like, oh God, this is shit. Like,
it's not a lot.
I don't want to do this anymore. But it's like, it's the level of expectation. And luckily, like, from on the B2Z side, the clients that I work with, that is not a goal of theirs. They don't want to get ripped. They don't want to have abs. They don't want to, like, be lifting, like, they don't want to be training all the time. They just want to be able to put their socks on without crying, and they want to be able to, like, fit into their summer clothes or, feel 35 rather than feeling 65, because at like it's a quick progression. Like if you're not looking after yourself from 40 onwards, if you don't make changes, you're gonna feel really old and decrepit really, really quickly. Because like the joint pain hits and the muscle wastage is happening, and like you suddenly look in the mirror and you go, "Holy fuck! Why is my mother looking back at me?" Like everything is just disintegrating. So it's like just take action, and over time, like because this is now in the public domain, like people like me won't be needed. Because you're right, the younger generation are looking after themselves differently. Like my 14-year-old son wants to join the gym, and no gym will have him because he's only 14. Like they're not drinking Mad Dog 2020 and bunkers. Some of them are vaping, when that's another fear factor. But they are doing very different things now than what we did.
I mean, you're like some of them were vaping. As soon as you said that, I was like, people I knew were doing like fucking glue and shit like that. Like, give me a vape anytime. Like
Nail varnish remover and a
I wasn't, by the way, just so anyone knows. And they'd be like doing like, I don't even know what it was with an aerosol, and I'd be like, what the hell?
Oh yeah, I forgot about all of that stuff.
And now I'm
yeah,
like,
actually, that's a good point to make, right? But they are doing things very, very differently, and a lot to do with that is their parents. So that's like, I don't know how old are you?
47.
Oh, me too. Snap.
I know.
Oh,
I had to
78.
think then, didn't I?
Yeah. Well, this year's 48, so that's now nearly 50.
Well, don't.
So, but they are the kids of us. So think about the journey that our generation went on. Like when I was young, like I was slightly different. I didn't understand a lot of the culture stuff. So we had heroin chic. We had nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. We had the onset of convenience foods. We had the onset of don't eat eggs, they're bad for you. Don't eat butter, it's bad for you. Here, have your Vitalite, have your Miller Lights. So we were the early stages of modern diet era. And I don't know if that was more women that were having to go through that. We had mums and aunties and grannies that were going to slimming clubs left, right and centre. I've had clients that were taken to Weight Watchers when they were 9 years old because they were getting a bit porky, right? So you can imagine what that does to people's belief and self-esteem and what they believe to be true about their own bodies and about health and all the rest of it. So that was the starting point, and we went through our teenage years of you need to be skinny and you need to like just starve yourself. And then we had the generation of, well, actually, we're all gonna have brittle bones by the time we're 50. We need to teach them to lift weights. So then we had the fitness era and the muscle is good era, where women were, I don't know what the word is. You weren't allowed to say you wanted to be thin. You weren't allowed to say you wanted to be skinny. You had to say you wanted to be healthy or strong. So going back to what you were saying before, and being healthy and being strong was code for I want to lose weight. So we had all these people saying like, you don't want to be skinny, you want to be strong, you need muscle, da 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 da. And now we've got on the flip side where people want to be skinny, and now people who've maybe never been able to be skinny before are being able to be skinny.
When you go into like these corporate talks and stuff, like, and you say, well, number one, the jabs, I don't know, I'm assuming an opinion is you can't fight reality. Like, you can tell people not to take the jabs, and there's other ways. But
I went through, like, I'm not massively skinny, I'm not fat, I'm like a size 10, I don't know what I weigh, but I'm not light. And I went through one of the processes of these organisations to get the jabs, and I put in I think I lied about my height. I said I was like 5'4", I'm 5'5", and I said I was 70 kilos, and I had to take a picture of myself in the mirror, and they went, approved. And I was like, are you kidding on? Like, I'm a size fucking 10. Like, how to make me feel like a big junk?
Do you think they have a place though, I'm assuming?
Yeah, absolutely do have a place, and there's no getting away from that. That these medicines are absolutely life enhancers for the right people. So people that are living with chronic obesity, absolutely. These people who have got like metabolic illnesses, absolutely. To get people in a place where they are able to there's light at the end of the tunnel, so that they can then go and start moving more, or they can then start, planning meals a little bit healthier. That is absolutely the time and the place for it. But I do not agree that people who are maybe like, they want to lose a couple of dress sizes, there's no place for that, because you can still get the same results by doing it yourself. because at the end of the day, like, you're still going to have to do that work when you come off them, unless you're willing to spank, I don't even know how much they are, £300 a month or something, for the rest of your life. Then you're still going to have to do the work and make the nutritional changes and do the mindset changes and do the movement changes in order for those results to stay.
And so I agree with you, by the way, but I was also curious about if you go into these organisations and you're telling this demographic of women, you need to eat more protein, you need to lift weights, is there pushback, and or is this new information to them, or is it that they kind of know it, they just don't know how to do it? Or because again, I think like 10 years ago, I think it would have been quite new.
Yeah, it's not new. No, everybody knows what to do. Like, everybody knows what to do. We've been presented with this stuff online for years and years and years. The blocker is either the belief of that won't work for me because I've already tried it, or I don't have time, or I don't have the energy, or that's not for people like me. So when I do the organisational stuff, that's not really the route that we go down. But even just like working with clients, it's like, okay, so yeah, in an ideal world, we'd all be going to the gym 4 times a week and we'd all be eating like our perfect meals, but that's not reality. So it's like, pick one thing that you know that you could do better at. Just pick one thing. You know, it could be as simple as drinking more water, or it could be as simple as getting outside in the daylight more. Like, just pick one thing and just do that for the next week. Like, just do that, see how that feels, and then pick another thing. Like, telling somebody to do something, whatever it is, just telling them to live this perfect life is never going to happen. You know, if you told me that, oh, I needed to do daily leads follow up, and the only way you're going to make more money is to do daily leads follow up and do this and do your business plan and do your 6-minute diary and all the things, like, the resistance is there already. I don't want to do that, right? I know logically what to do, but I don't want to do it. But if you said to me, right, see today, can you go and message 5 people that you've spoken to in the last week? Yeah, I can do that. And just do that for a week. Like, that's you doing your leads follow-up. So it's just, how do we make it more reflective on the individual rather than being told what to do by a qualified person?
What are you excited about going forward?
I'm excited about my holiday to Crete next month.
Right.
Right. So one of my dearest friends in the whole wide world is a sales coach, and she was my sales coach, and I was a client of hers, and she was a client of mine, and we've become really, really good friends. And we send podcasts to each other, voice notes back and forward. And she's like, when was the last time you had a holiday? And I was like, oh, I had a holiday last year. She's like, no, an actual, time away from working. And I was like, 2002. And I took 3 weeks off. I had a coach working for me. I had my VA. I was like, taking 3 weeks. I'm going to America. I'm going to do this road trip. Maybe in 2021. I'm going to do this road trip, California, Nevada, Arizona. It's amazing, and I'm not going to work. And that was my first proper break since 2017. 1 fucking week into that holiday, Tim, some wanker hacked into my Facebook accounts, started running ads to these crappy T-shirts, and money started coming out to pay out of my bank account to pay for these ads. Right, week 1, and I'm in California, so I was fuming, right? So that was the last time I had a week off. So I don't know if I've been reluctant to take time away. But I'm not going to do any client work. I'm not going to do any social media work. I'm just going to have the full week away with my son. And this is the thing, as a business owner, you are never off.
So just to be clear, no laptop, no work, no phone for the whole week.
No, I'm taking my phone. Jesus, don't take my baby away from me.
Right, on a percentage likelihood, like how certain are you that no work will be done?
Well, it depends what you classify as work, because there's some things that I do on the daily that I actually don't classify as work anymore. Like, so responding to DMs, I don't classify that as work at all. Like, that's,
you know what? Like, I don't think I've, since going online, I don't think I've had a week off, literally no work. No. And I don't. Some people can say it's bad. I actually don't care. I quite like what I do.
No, I think on previous holidays, I have taken a laptop to do my weekly email, or I've taken my laptop because I've got a client check-in, or I've got something, and I'm not taking my laptop. I'll take my phone and I can do wee bits and bobs.
That's a good deal.
So yeah, but other than my very selfish holiday, being happy for, I am really excited about where my business goes. So like at the moment it's Eat Move One coaching. That's what it's been. The Menopause Training Academy is where I'm going with the B2B side, like as a sub brand. So I'm excited and I'm shitting myself. Actually, I'm very nervous, but I think it's the
With
right thing to do. Just the shift, shifting from pure B2C to putting the focus more on the B2B. Terrified
why?
because it's change. Like we all get into our comfort zones, don't we? Like I know I am really
Yeah, but
good
it's
at.
got to be more than that. It's not just because it's changed. There must be a
And,
specific.
it's not even imposter syndrome either because I don't actually really believe in imposter syndrome. Like that's just it's not that it doesn't exist. It's just like you can overcome imposter syndrome, but just by doing the shit. But I think it's just fear of the unknown. Like what if it doesn't work? And that is like it's the same fear as I had all those years ago before when I was doing that whole should I apply for that job in the business or should I just take that redundancy that I've been wanting to do, but it's still scary. And it was one of those like really cheesy quotes that I'd seen. I think it must have been in Facebook, and it was like, "But what if I fail?" And it was like a wee butterfly or something. That was like, "Yes, my dear, but what if you fly?" And it was that wee thing that nudged me over the edge, and like that. If I don't do this, I'm never going to do it. If I don't do that, I'm going to be stuck in this grey, miserable train station wearing like with people in grey suits on a grey day, And so that's the kind of mindset of where I am just now. Of if I don't do this, I will always wonder.
You're going to build a team, or are you going to be more lean?
Well, this is an interesting because I've got loads of ideas that does involve a team, but my gut at the moment is don't build a team. Like I see this Menopause Training Academy, I could see this having like associates that are like an ADHD specialist, like a menstrual specialist, like a fertility expert. There's loads where this could go.
Have you employed people before, apart from the coach that left?
I had a coach before her as well, and she went off to do fertility nutrition.
Yeah, I think there's been quite a big shift anyway over the last. I think it's been forced over the last 4 years, where you people actually stopped being able to be profitable enough to have a big team. Mm-hmm. Like there's been.
I don't think I want a big team. Like I've managed people for years and years and years, and I think it was a vanity metric. Like I remember being in these business coaching things, and it was like, you must hire, you must outsource, you must do it. And then like, oh, I don't actually want to do that. And at one point, like there was one point I was making like unbelievable amounts of money per month from coaching, but I didn't see any of that money. Like it went to pay coaches, it went to pay people that were managing my ads account, it went to pay people to manage my Instagram, it went to the tax man. So I was actually paying myself very, very little in comparison. So and it wasn't worth it.
Yeah, I think that's probably more and more where people are going to be going. Like a small team, maybe. And obviously, I'm not the biggest font of knowledge around AI, to say the least. I think like small teams and lots of the work can be done by someone with an AI, like one person. We had when we had the biggest team, a lot of our team was and our coaches told us this is not a good idea, and a lot of ours were coaches, so they're not like revenue generating. So half of the team was coaches that were there to coach, not to business coach, not to do marketing, and I think that's because of the coaching that I want people to do, and what my beliefs around coaching is that's one of the skills that is not going to be able to be replaced. Like it can't be. Like I had this conversation with myself. Could you really be held accountable to an AI, even if the technology was good enough? Like, would it be the same getting coached by an AI thing than it is an actual coach? And I just don't think it will. I don't think we'll get to a point where that has the same effect, because innately when you say to someone, I'm going to do this thing, there's something deep inside you that wants to follow through with doing the thing. And it's just, you're just like, I don't, no, subconsciously, it was a fucking AI.
Yeah, it's
And I
the
think
people
that
connection. Like we are intrinsically built to want to please other people.
100%, 100%. I think that smaller, like whether you call it organisations or businesses, I think it's going to be much more likely. The days of 20 people in a company that earns X amount, I think it's going to be. I just don't think it's possible. Well, it is possible. That's not the right thing to say. But I think even a lot of the big mentors, like they just went chop 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 at one point. Even like sales teams and that. A lot of people don't use them anymore because they're expensive to run.
Yeah.
Okay, so excited about the menopause. Who's it for? The academy.
Accreditation.
Yes.
It's for people who are already coaching women, but want to increase their knowledge and
Personal trainers, nutrition coaches.
wellness coaches, and also people that have got no background in coaching that want to become coaches, because we have a business add-on as well, so we can help
Oh, I like
start
that. A business add-on at the same time or after?
So the accreditation is 12 weeks, and then if you take the add-on, then I'll be working with you for another 12 weeks. And I've got loads of resources there for like sales and marketing and setting yourself up, and how do you actually coach
And
properly.
would they be, is that like a sort of side hustle at first and people still have their other job, or is it burn the bridges and jump straight
It
in?
can be anything. It could be either. Like I've got a lady in the last one who did the accreditation with absolutely no desire to become an actual coach. It was just like, yeah, this is quite good information for me to know. And now she's now doing a side hustle as a midlife life coach.
I love it.
And like she made a couple of £1,000 a month with it. So it can be anything that you want it to be.
All right, can we get some details and we'll put them in the show notes, yeah? Well, actually, how
Yeah.
can people get hold of you? What's your favourite channel?
Well, my personal favourite channel for being a consumer is TikTok. I'm absolutely obsessed, and I've only just really started my own. Well, I have been on it for a couple of years, but I've kind of reinvigorated it. But the best one is Instagram, which is at Emma Perimeno Health.
I don't know. I'm shaking my head because I'm one of those. What are they called? I think they call them in a like product lifestyle. I'm a definitely a late. I can't remember them.
Oh, late adopter.
Yeah. And I didn't have Facebook. Everyone else had Facebook. I didn't have an iPhone.
No.
And it's not like I'm sitting there going, oh, I want to be like contrarian and not have the thing. It's just, I don't know quite why. I just end up like, I'm probably the person that's going to get AI in about a year, and everyone else has been doing it already. I mean, I use it a little
That's
bit.
really interesting, because the organisation that I worked for before I went self-employed was a telecommunications company, and it was like on the cutting edge of technology, like of telco technology, of phone technology and whatnot. So I think having gone through that experience, I don't know whether it's just the type of person I am, or whether it's all that training that you do pick up on trends really quite quickly and learn how can I adapt that to work for me, rather than how do I fight against it.
By the way, like my coach yesterday's showing everyone. I was a bit late to the call and showing everyone this AI thing, and I got on and I was a bit like, oh, what? Just a little bit of glazing over. I could tell. I could just tell my brain's just like, yeah, I've missed half of this anyway. And I'm like, this. I do use AI, but not. I use it to help me write my content. Well, the middle part anyway. Okay, so TikTok, Instagram, Facebook.
Oh, I've got a book as well. You can find me in my book. Can I show you my book?
Oh, please.
Look what I did.
Go on. You need to get it focused. There you go.
It's called Piss Off Perimenopause for women who
people get a
refuse to
copy of
feel
that?
invisible. What?
How do people get a copy of that?
Amazon.
Do you have a separate page where people can order it direct, or is it all via Amazon?
No, it's just on Amazon. But I do have a link tree. If you want my link tree, that's got on my buy a book, go to my podcast.
You definitely should get your own squeeze page, because then you control the IP of the email address.
Yeah, it is true, and it is probably something that I should add to the list of things that will be on the list for some time before I actually do it. Yeah, so I've got a book, I've got a podcast, both called Piss Off Perimenopause, and Instagram or Facebook if you're old, like Tim.
That's talking to me. I'll tell you my story. We're going to finish. I'll tell you my story. I went to watch England Scotland, and this was in
What year?
we beat you. Well, we beat the Scottish. We beat you 2-0, and then we came back to Wembley because it was two legs, and you won 1-0. We still went through on aggregate, and I'm trying to remember. I think it was 2000. It might have been 1999, maybe. In fact, I'm very sure it would be. I got on the train very early to get the train up there, and then I was like, I had my England top on, and we were like, we've got to be very careful. We've got to be very careful. It was me and my mate. We were only young idiots. And then I think the more we started obviously consuming alcohol during the day, we just were a bit stupid. And then at one point I was like, oh, fuck it. And then we were in the Scotland end because we couldn't get tickets in the England end. And then we were just really drunk by this time. And then just took our top off. And I had an England top on. I'd never do this now. And then England scored, and just roughly dotted around the Scotland end, you could see people jump up, and we jumped up and cheered. You can't help it. And then I think he must have been 70, like accosted me, rightly so, by the way. He should do, like, you can't do that shit, and gave me a little bit of a clip round the ear. And then I was like, okay. And then I was noticing everyone was clearly staring at me. And then we scored again, and I just heard this voice of, like, in your accent, something around, if you stand up again, we're going to throw you off the tier. And I was like, okay, this is not good. And then the police came over and said, I think you should probably put your top back on. What do you think? And I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. And I probably deserve to be thrown off the tier, to be honest.
Oh, that's quite funny.
I know.
That's quite funny. Yeah, I have not been to an England-Scotland football match for many, many years. But the last Scotland-England that I remember was at the tail end of COVID. And was it a Euro qualifier? I can't remember what it was. And we were all meant to be socially distancing. It was my first night out with my friend after we were allowed out, and everybody was meant to be socially distancing. I was getting the train on the way home, and it was a draw, right? But you'd think that we'd won the World Cup. Like, genuinely, the atmosphere in Glasgow, everybody was just bouncing off each other, like, yeah!
I mean, it was unreal, even when you lost, the atmosphere in Hampden Park.
We are, as a nation, we are used to it. So we have to find our joy no matter what the situation. That's why we rely on alcohol for our enjoyment. But my son was my dad took him to Hampden for the Denmark game, like for the World Cup qualifiers.
Yep.
And he I don't think you understand how rare an event this is going to be for you. So please make sure that you wallow in this.
I didn't go to England until I was like 19. What a gift. All right, okay, guys, thank you. Emma, thank you so much. We'll just be chatting all day. They'll get the links and everything, and they can come and check your stuff out.
Okay, thank you. Bye.